Right. Thank you. Sorry, I was looking for the mute button. Good afternoon, everybody. Happy May 14th. Good to see everybody. I am on the wrong page. Hold on. There we go. Here we go. So good afternoon and welcome. My name is Abby Stamp. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the Measure 110 Executive Director, and I'll be assisting Leticia with facilitation for today's meeting. The Oversight and Accountability Council welcomes and encourages community input. Members of the public are invited to submit public comments or to get on our interested parties' email list by emailing oha.measure110@oha.oregon.gov. That email address and more information about the council can be found on the Measure 110 OAC website. OAC members have asked that OHA and other staff who are present in the meeting space introduce themselves in the chat. Please share your role with the agency, and if you are a subject matter expert, your area of expertise. I'll now hand it over to Leticia for opening remarks today.
Hi, everyone. My name is Leticia Welch. I'm one of the tri-chairs for the Oversight and Accountability Council. Welcome. And today I will be facilitating or leading the meeting along with Abby. And I wanted to announce our agenda item. We have one item on our agenda today. We will be discussing Tillamook County screening and assessment provider. There will be a discussion and a vote today. So if you need to leave early, please say something in the chat. Thank you. And I will pass it on to Carly for attendance.
Thank you, Leticia. Ami.
Here.
Caroline or Amy? Caroline?
Here.
Hi, Caroline. Dharma?
Here.
Hey, Dharma. Hubert?
Here.
Hey, Hubert. Hunter?
Here.
Hey, Hunter. Jackie is excused. Keisha?
Here.
Hey, Keisha. Leticia?
Here.
Hi. Linda?
Here.
Hey, Linda. Mason? Melissa? There's Amy.
I'm here.
Hi, Amy. I'll get you added to attendance. Morgan? Ryan?
Here.
Hi, Ryan. Sabrina?
I am here.
Hey, Sabrina. Zeb?
I'm here.
Hi, Zeb. And Sam is not, right? Annalise?
Here.
Hi, Annalise. And we have quorum with 13. Back to you, Leticia.
Thank you, Carly. So today we'll be discussing Tillamook County Behavioral Health Resource Network. As many of you know, back in March, the council voted to allocate remaining funds to address the gap in screening and assessment services in Tillamook County. So I will pass it on to Abby.
County. Next slide, please. We will start with a call for conflicts for Tillamook County, and those providers are listed there at the top right, and they include Adventist Health in Tillamook, Boulder Care, Helping Hands, Outreach Centers, the Reinhardt Clinic, also known as Nehalem Bay, Tillamook County Community Health Centers, Tillamook Family Counseling Center, and Tillamook Serenity Club. Are there any actual or potential conflict of interest for these providers in this community? Okay, hearing none. Next slide, please. So when the OAC charged OHA to finish negotiations with every burn in Oregon's 36 counties, this was the completed Behavioral Health Resource Network service areas in Tillamook County. So this will look a little different from what you saw from the application. So between the 6 providers on the screen, you can see that SUD or substance use disorder services, peer services, housing, and harm reduction are all covered, which is great. But as you note, we had a gap with screening and assessments even after negotiations. The first thing I did is Liz Fernley, who has been negotiating most of the Tillamook County providers, we offered the opportunity for these 6 entities to pick up screening and assessments. And then we would come back to the OAC about those results, and then you could have voted to allocate those funds to these providers, but none of them indicated they had the capacity to do so. And so we started asking around. So next slide, please. And this is where we left it at the end of March. This was just a copied and paste from that slide deck. So the 2 service areas already noted, screening and assessment. The unallocated funds were $571,355.91. And this was the motion that was read and then voted and passed. Which was to allocate those dollars, to $571,000 to Tillamook County's burn, and the OHA contacted an existing Tillamook County burn applicant to establish grant agreements for screening and assessment. If no Tillamook County burn applicants are able to conduct screenings or assessments, OHA shall seek those services from another applicant. So we were unable to get those applicants to indicate that they would be willing to do so. And so I have an alternative proposal today. Next slide. Thank you.
Hold on, something is going on. Hold on, give me 1 second.
Yeah, take all the seconds. You're fine. I'll just tell the story while Carly's looking for the image. So I talked with Liz Fernley, who I mentioned has quite an awareness of the providers in Tillamook County, and she noted there is an existing provider who is a grantee today called the Tillamook Family Counseling Center, TFCC, and they did not reapply. I don't think because they didn't want to. They chose not to apply. And so I decided I would reach out to them to assess, would you be interested? And I spoke with their executive director a number of times, and I described the situation, indicated the budget, talked about kind of the expectations there. And after some internal dialogue, the Tillamook Family Counseling Center executive director and deputy director said, yes, we would, if the OAC approves, we will provide screenings and assessments. Thank you, Carly. Perfect timing. So I have asked the director to provide a detailed budget of how they would break out that $571,355 award between screenings and assessments, and to better understand those milestones and deliverables. But first wanted to bring this to you all to hear if that is something you would like to move forward with. And then if so, we'll get that hammered down and finish that negotiation process. So any questions or conversation, and if you're interested, I put a potential motion for you to think about. Hunter.
I figure I'll make the motion and then we can talk about it after. I move to fund Tillamook Family Counseling Center to provide screenings and assessments for the Tillamook County burn with a budget of $571,355.91, and for OHA to negotiate appropriate milestones and budget line items.
I second the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, so that was Hunter moving and Leticia second. Okay. Discussion, Caroline?
I'm not sure why we're going to pass a motion until, was it Tillamook Counseling or whoever that was, until they propose a budget? Why do we have to pass a motion? Or are we having to pass a motion to give permission to get this other entity to apply?
No, they're working on a budget now, Caroline, and what I wanted to do was to first get the okay for them to really dive into the negotiations process. And I thought getting into negotiations before y'all decided that was the direction you wanted to go felt premature. And with the 233 other applicants, you all did not vote on budgets for every service category. And so this then would be a consistent approach where you said, this is their total NTE. OHA take it back and you work on how to break out the service areas between each burn partner. Did that answer your question?
Not really. I just don't understand why we don't wait for them to propose a budget and then vote on it. I just don't understand why we're doing it, saying submit a proposal. I just, because it's not completed. It doesn't feel completed to me. And so I just want to see something that's completed and then we vote. I mean, it's more than likely we're going to vote for them, but I mean, I don't, I mean, it's just kind of a puzzle. I mean, if anyone else feels that we don't have to wait, then I guess we could go forward.
Other discussion?
I guess a clarifying question. So, once we approve this, will we see their budget, or is it then just in the hands of OHA to make sure the budget looks reasonable and such?
Well, you could amend or you could create a situation where you get whatever you want. If you want us to negotiate that budget and timeline and milestones and bring it back to you before moving it through the grant award process, we could do that too. Just to remember, we haven't done that with the 233 other applicants. You haven't seen any of the final budgets because you asked OHA to deal with that. And so this will be the one provider that you haven't taken a close look at. We're always, of course, happy to provide all of that information, but you gave an NTE and an entity and said, go do it.
Yeah, I
And
guess the only difference in my, oh, sorry, Annalise. The only difference in my head is everybody else applied, right? But this is a new organization that didn't apply. So we're not seeing, like, basically, we're not seeing anything really.
Okay. Annalise?
Linda said exactly what I was going to say. That's what I'm hearing from folks because there wasn't the application on the front end. That it just seems like that's a missing step.
Okay, great. Other discussion? You want the motion back up on the screen to see what the exact verbiage is to have you decide what feels right? Can you bring that back up, Carly? Thank you. Okay, so there's been discussion. You've got the motion up there that was moved and seconded. So rolling, unless there's anything else, Carly, could you do a vote, please?
Can I say one last thing? Um, I think personally I'm okay with how it's written because it says that OHA will negotiate appropriate milestones and budget line items. I guess I would just make an informal request that if their budget, I think OHA would do this anyway, but if it seemed different than kind of what else we've approved or anything seems off, then they would take it back to the council.
Hunter?
Since I made the original motion, I know that normally you haven't brought anything else back to us, but hearing my fellow council members, I'd like to amend this to where, the original motion, and can you bring it back and show it to us? I don't even think that needs to be before final approval, but we would just like to see, since this is, we didn't see anything beforehand.
You wanted the motion up? I'm sorry. Was that?
No, the motion's up. I just wanted to
Okay.
make an amendment to that to where you bring it back to us and show it to us when you're done.
At what point, Hunter? I want to make sure I have enough details that I can do that appropriately. Because right now,
I would defer to what Annalise and Linda's opinion is on that because I just know that I made the original motion and I want to make sure everybody on the council is feeling okay about this.
I I think I'm okay with it as written. I think I just wanted to kind of note that the process is slightly different because this is a new organization and more maybe just to like have people be aware. But I think that to me it seems like OHA is going to bring it back if there's anything that's not appropriate. So I think I'm okay with it as written, maybe more just like noting that this is kind of different than our previous processes. So if there is anything glaring that seems off, to bring it back before approval. Is that reasonable? But I think like if OHA negotiates the appropriate milestones and budget line items and it all seems within kind of the standard screening and assessment budgets we have, then they don't need to bring it back.
Okay, so then there's no need for an amendment. The original motion is still as. I remember when we first passed this to come back, and it was an anomaly because it was the only time where we had to look at building those other aspects of the burn afterwards. So I guess the motion as it stands.
okay. I think it's time to vote. Okay.
Ami, how do you vote?
My apologies, my computer's being glitchy. Yes.
Thank you. Amy?
Yes.
Caroline?
No.
Dharma?
Sorry, can you come right back to me at the end?
Yes. Hubert?
Ooh. Yes.
Hunter?
Yes.
Jackie? Oh, she's not here. Keisha?
Yeah.
Leticia?
Yes.
Linda?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
Sabrina?
Yes.
And Zeb?
Yes.
Dharma, are you ready to
Yes.
vote? I'm sorry, I missed that. Did you say yes? Oh,
She
I see in
put-
the chat. Got it.
Yeah, she
Thank
did.
you. And that passes with 12. Back to you, Leticia.
Thank you, Carly. That's all we have on the agenda for today, unless there's any OHA updates.
I could just share some good news that the negotiations are almost done. They're almost done. It has been a very arduous process, and your team of grant administrators have been beyond phenomenal and rigorous and thoughtful and diligent. The last phase in the negotiations process, of course, making sure that everything is squared away in the right space and makes sense, is we receive certified budgets. And once those certified budgets are approved, then I take a look and sign off on it, and whoosh, then it goes to contract land to go and to go get signatures from our tri-chairs. So thanks to Keisha, Leticia, and Zeb for all of your clicking, I guess it's not really signing anymore. And yeah, so we only have 9 certified budgets that we're waiting on. So it is right around the corner. So, there is one organization that decided not to move forward, and I'll work with the grant admin and giving an update on that when we next come together.
Thank you, Abby. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, thank you again, everyone, for your time. and discussion today. And with that, we'll adjourn today's meeting. I hope you have a wonderful day.